Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Forever SMP. See, I won't lie to you, today is going to be a little bit different. We're changing up the style of our episode just a little bit here. I won't lie to you, I've spent the past like 3 weeks just walking around and looking at this build. I'm still super amazed at the way it's turned out, but I am aware that it does need some improvements in places. See, look, here's the thing. That's going to be a future project because this build is only one phase of many, and I'm going to be working on this thing for like 5 years. For sure. So I'm going to pace myself and take a little break from this today because I have another mega project in mind. So look, here's the deal. My whole shtick on this server is I like to be self-sufficient and try and build farms for everything, but up until now that hasn't really been the case. You see, the one farm I've been putting off is a source of bone meal, because up until now, come on. Up until now, anything that uses bone meal I've avoided at all costs, so let's rectify that today. See, what I'd like to do is build a Wither Skeleton Farm, because it's been a little while since I built one of those. But before we do that, I just need to kill all these guys because they cause lag. Ah, there we go, perfect. So for this, let's go to the Nether. Now you see, I haven't built a Wither Skeleton Farm in years. It's been 4 or 5 years at this point, and I am aware that we do have one on the server that's owned by someone else. I want to have my own thing. And then this way as well, I can build a stupidly overpowered design. Before I get started today, I went ahead and laid this blue carpet out to the area we're going to be using. It's not that far, just a few minutes of flight time. So yeah, right around here there should be a nether fortress. Well, not right here, beneath us obviously, duh. So yes, hello, we're in free cam right now, but if we just go down here, as you can see we have a nether fortress. And if we look at this as well, we have 1, 2, 3 and 4 nether fortress crossroads. The perfect setup for a farm. Now you see, we're still a ways off from building that farm because we actually need to get down there beneath the nether roof. So you know what that means? Yeah, we're going to be bedrock breaking today. So the last time I did bedrock breaking, I broke this hole down to the bottom of the nether, and even for a small hole like this, it still took me upwards of an hour to do, and I'm not using that method because that was far too slow. Now you see, I'm not the only person who's been breaking bedrock. Josh over here has also done the same thing, and he broke a similar size hole to me. See, here's the thing, I'm like a big technical player on this server. Everyone comes to me for the redstone and all that stuff, so if I want to, you know, be the man, I need to break my own massive hole, and I want to do it in such a scale that no one will ever be able to compete. So yeah, this means that I'm going to have to build 1, a really big machine, and 2, I'm going to need to gather a lot of resources. So yeah, this resource list is going to be interesting. So it's only 6,219 items, most of which are pistons, so that's 5,457 of them. Everything else is super easy to get, mainly because of this ridiculous starter base. So here's the deal. For 5,457 pistons, I'm going to need 64 stacks of logs, 86 stacks of iron ingots, 86 stacks of redstone, and get this, 341 stacks of cobblestone. Right, so let's see. That's about 2 and a bit shulkers of logs, 3 and a bit shulkers of iron ingots, which I clearly have, 3 and a bit shulkers of redstone dust, and 12 shulkers of cobble. Oh, yeah, I don't have that. Actually, I do. Haven't used this thing in months, but I do remember using my cobblestone farm for a bit, so... Oh yeah, we've got plenty of cobblestone. So yeah, let's craft all of that into pistons. There we go, there's all those pistons. And here's the rest of the items. The neat part about using Light Magicka is it tells me if I'm missing anything, and from the looks of it, we're good to go. So it's time to head out towards the project area and get this thing started. So first I need to build a machine to break all that bedrock for me. It works the same way as the manual bedrock breaking method. First we need to create a headless piston facing down. We can do this by either placing a piston or moving one into place and activating it around the same time as some TNT goes off. This machine does that again and again and again. The great thing about it is that it recycles all 5,000 pistons, meaning I don't lose a single one. This sped up the project a lot. Once that machine was built, I was able to turn it on and let it run. I had to build this machine 5 times to break through all bedrock layers. I'd originally planned on doing this manually. Thankfully, I decided to take a different approach. If you ever want to do something like this, I'd recommend checking out the Slimestone Tech Archive Discord server. That place has lots of machines like this, which is super useful. Anyways, after 10 hours of non-stop bedrock breaking, the hole was completed. Okay, I won't lie to you, this hole is very impressive. Just look how big this thing is, this is insane. So yeah, I guess it's fair to say we can now access the lower nether. So before we start working on the Wither Skeleton Farm, we need to get rid of all of this nether terrain. You know what that means? Perimeter time. So my first order of business, since this is the nether, is we need to dig out the boundary of this perimeter, which totally won't take an hour or two. Okay, so you'll only barely be able to see it, but I've dug a tunnel outlining the boundary of this perimeter. This thing's fairly big. Before we start digging out the rest of it, let's dig out the first layer. So for this part of the project, I decided to dig it out by hand. This was a very time consuming process, so it begs the question, why didn't I use a machine? Well, here's the thing. I could have used, say, a tunnel bore for this, but the problem with using one is that it creates a lot of extra mess from the TNT exploding. That isn't ideal, especially since I plan on decorating this, so if I did decide to go this route, it would just add a whole lot more work, which isn't what I'm looking for. Plus, I thought it would be more interesting to mine this out by hand, as it's a bit of a change of pace for me. So would you look at that, this entire area has been mined out now. So we've made this 3 high, which means we can fly. But before we do anything else, we need to tackle this bit here in the middle. See, the issue I've got with this area is ghasts are spawning all the time, which slows down my progress. So yeah, this thing needs to go. Okay, that is so much better. With that done, we can safely tackle decorating the roof. You see, if we wait until doing it later on, it's going to be a lot harder. So you see, my plan is to cover the entire roof in black concrete. To do this, I'm going to need 40 shulkers of black concrete. That's 68,964 blocks. Fortunately, that won't be a problem. You see, right through this portal I have a concrete duper. All I need to do is turn this thing on, and then in no time at all I have all the concrete I need for this project. So you might be wondering, why am I going to the trouble of using concrete here? I guess I just want this project to have a finished look by hiding the terrible looking netherrack. When you end up working in the nether for extended periods of time, you'll feel the same way. Alright, that's looking much better. It does kind of feel like I'm staring into the void. But you see, that's the effect I'm going for. Now that the roof is finished, we should be good to start digging this place out. I know a lot of you will be wondering why I'm digging this perimeter in the first place. The whole idea of one of these things is to move all the blocks that have the potential to spawn mobs that won't be inside the farm. Now most people would simply go and place slabs on all the spawnable blocks, but I don't like the look of that stuff. Plus, digging a perimeter is a bit more of a flex. Now due to the nature of the farm I'm going to build here, I'll only be removing blocks down to the level of the lava lakes. My AFK platform will be high above, so there's no need to go down lower. When it comes to digging this place out, I'm cutting out the chunks of the terrain here and there, and I'm mining them all the way down. This is mainly so that ghasts don't blow up all the concrete I just placed. Technically, I could have used the machine to do all of this as well, but once again I wanted to do this by hand. It's not often that I get to do projects like this, but they'll become a lot more common on the server really soon. Now unlike a lot of other Minecraft creators you may watch, I have a day job, so to get this perimeter dug it took me 2 and a bit weeks of digging after I came home from work each night, so I'd really appreciate it if you could leave a like. Now with this change in content style, I'd like to perform a bit of an experiment, so what I'd like everyone to do is leave a like on the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and then go down to the comments section and leave a comment, and if you see other comments there, reply to them. Let's see if we can get a couple of discussions going. I want to see if this engagement helps the video out performance wise, so if you could do that I'd really appreciate it. Anyways, with all of that work now done, let's move on to the next phase of the project. Wow, this thing is insane. It's a tad bit dangerous though, look at all those mobs spawning. I should probably fix that. It's time to spawn proof this perimeter. So, spawn proofing here was fairly straightforward. All I needed to do was place carpets. Since fire spread has been disabled, I shouldn't really have to worry about this. I got the spawn proofing done fairly quick, so I also went ahead and placed all the concrete in the walls to finish the decoration for this perimeter. Alright, that looks so much better. Look at the size of this place. Oh well, guess it's time to build a Wither Skeleton Farm. So for this project, I've been inspired by this Wither Skeleton Farm by Dave Ray that makes 2000 skulls per hour. I've also made a few changes to make it work better for my situation. So, let's build it. So to start this Wither Skeleton Farm project, I've built a nether portal. And no, this thing isn't on the ground, it's flown. So the portal itself will transport the Wither Skeletons to the overworld where they will die. Now you see, here's the thing, this Wither Skeleton Farm is a 2-player design, so you need 1 player in the nether and 1 in the overworld. So on the overworld side of this thing will be high up in the sky, like 320 blocks up. And then the Wither Skeletons will fall, I will kill them, and then I'll have lots of loot. Sounds simple enough, right? Well, in order to make any more progress on this project, we need to start gathering resources. The resource list for this thing is pretty impressive. The only thing that's hard to get is wither roses. Fortunately, another member of the server has a really good wither rose farm, so I made a little trade. 3 shulkers of wither roses for 2 shulkers of iron blocks. That's pretty decent. Alright, after a quick resource gathering session, I have all these shulkers full of items. So let's pick these up, go to the nether, travel out to the perimeter, and now it's time to build this insane Wither Skeleton Farm. So the idea for this farm was that I don't want to AFK at it for long periods of time. I still want lots of resources from it, so I settled on a design with a high item output. Now this farm is of course based on the one Dave Rooney made. It was the main inspiration for this video, but the way I've built mine is a little bit different. First of all, my design doesn't use piglins, mainly because they take quite a bit of time to capture and manage. It's extra work I didn't think was necessary, so for my design I'll be using iron golems, which I will add to the farm shortly. I'm also doing a similar thing to Dave Rooney with collecting the wither skeletons in minecarts, but instead of killing them in the nether, I send them to the overworld. It somewhat simplifies things and also allows me to avoid digging the perimeter all the way down to bedrock. Anyways, after 2 hours of building this thing is complete. Alright, this thing is pretty impressive, but it's currently unfinished. To finish this off, we're going to need to summon a bunch of iron golems. We can do so like so. And now I need to fill these chests with minecarts. Okay, I think it's fair to say this Wither Skeleton Farm seems to be working. Look at all these spawns we're getting. So the general idea is that these Wither Skeletons will be picked up by minecarts. That's why we've got all these rails here, and eventually they'll be sent through that portal. They'll end up at this portal in the overworld. Obviously this side isn't finished yet. You see, on the overworld side we need a killing system. So let's build it. So this killing system is fairly straightforward. The Wither Skeletons fall into the kill chamber where they die to my sword. Then the loot is picked up by hopper minecarts and sent to storage. It's quite simple really. Okay, so with the overworld side finished, I've decided to test out the nether side and everything appears to be working perfectly. I could watch this for hours. It's so mesmerising. So up here at the AFK spot I've got a carpet bot, so this guy will keep this farm loaded. I wonder how this looks in the overworld. So it looks like this thing's working perfectly. I've set up a bunch of item filters up here, but they don't currently have any items in it. Which means before I can actually AFK this thing, I need to kill these guys manually so that I get enough items to fill the filters. Okay, here we go. Okay, that first AFK session was a massive success. I got a full shulker box of wither skeleton skulls, 30 shulker boxes of coal, and 49 shulker boxes of bones. This farm was really worth the investment. So happy about this.